اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Salamun alaikum, Ya Ali Madad. Tonight, as we know, is my third lecture of the series of the importance of Ramadan. You are watching this lecture live on 512 channel, but this lecture will also be broadcasted on Graph Agency worldwide. In our last two lectures, we discussed about Dua Iftitah and we discussed about the importance of Ramadan. That is why tonight, once again, I have chosen a very important subject. This subject is related to Ramadan because tonight we will discuss why it's important to fast during the month of Ramadan. Now, before we begin, please recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Fasting during Ramadan is one of the most important acts of worship in Islam, which is defined as abstaining completely from food, drink, etc. before the break of the dawn till sunset. Fasting is when you take a complete break from food, water, etc. before dawn until sunset. During the entire month of Ramadan, this is the 9th month of the Islamic year, so Muslims across the world fast on the 9th month of Ramadan during the entire month of Ramadan. It is actually obligatory task for every Muslim to fast all days of Ramadan, except for those with accepted excuses such as not being able to fast because of some illness, pregnancies, or being on a trip. There are multiple rules on that as well. Besides not eating and drinking, there are other necessities for true fasting, such as abstention from sins, which means trying your best not to sin at all. We know that some practices are usual and recommended for all days of Ramadan. And there are some practices for specific days. So we Muslims, we know that we have some practices for some days, and we have some practices that are recommended for the entire month of Ramadan. Reciting the Quran. Best practice in the days and nights of Ramadan is reciting the Holy Quran. The reward for reciting one verse of the Quran in the month of Ramadan is equivalent to the reward of reciting the entire Quran in other months. It is among Muslims' tradition to recite one part of the Quran every day in the month of Ramadan. Number 2, reciting Al-Sahar supplication, which is a supplication we are recommended to recite. Number 3, reciting the supplication of Abu Hamza al-Somali at Sahar before dawn. Number 4, giving iftar meal to people. It is actually mentioned in hadith that the reward for giving iftar to people is actually more than the fasting of the giver. So it is a very big reward of giving iftar to the people in need, or other people in general as well. And last but not least, it is recommended at every night of Ramadan, after your Maghrib Isha prayer, to recite the supplication of Iftitah. Now, if you remember, in my last lecture just a couple of days ago, we talked about the supplication of Iftitah. During this talk, we mentioned that the Imam of our time, Imam Mehdi alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, has actually told us and has recommended us that after a Maghrib Isha prayer during the month of Ramadan, we recite Dua Iftitah, and that is why reciting Dua Iftitah at the month of Ramadan after Maghrib and Isha prayer is an extremely important thing we are recommended to do every night. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. I hope that during this month of Ramadan, all azadars and everyone is in each other's thought. All azadars will be in my thoughts and prayers, and I request everyone to remember me and my family in your du'as. Inshallah, soon we will bring more important series of lectures, more important lectures about the importance of Ramadan. So I request all azadar to join in big number on the important dates of Ramadan, where we will talk about importance of Ramadan and the importance of that day. And it is very important for our young youth to listen and understand these lectures, to understand the importance and to understand the importance of the holy month of Ramadan. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.